Hiya folks, welcome on in. My name is Ari, and I'm here with the TEC to bring you the PIEA State Championships playoffs. That's right, the winner of this is not only going to further themselves throughout the state championships, but they will make it all the way to land. So keep your eyes peeled for that victorious team, because this match sure to be a banger. Today we've got some Marvel rivals for you, and it's between two of the great teams that you know and love. It'll be CB South and Forest Hills. Forest Hills had to participate in round one. They did have an FF win over Spring Grove, so this will be their first kind of test in the state playoffs. And how exactly they show up to the pitch, well, that's for us to find out in just a moment. CB South, though, they come in as the #1 seed, so they obviously had that regular season that was really, really strong. And now we're looking at them to continue moving forward and, bringing back the glory home to their school. Of course, for this stream, it is just going to be me for the moment as we, are working on some back-end things. Hopefully, we'll get another yapper in here with me. But for right now, just hanging out and having a bit of fun. Marvel Rivals is one of those titles that honestly does not disappoint with every series that it has. We only have 2 divisions as opposed to maybe 3 in some other titles, with Division 1, Division 2. And for these 2 teams, I mean, you've known them from a variety of other titles, but here we're looking to see how they can perform in this title of Marvel Rivals. Best of 5 or first to 3, we are going to be starting off with Domination as always, and we do have ourselves a bit of a playoff map pool. Since I do have a moment, we'll just kind of, chug it on out real quick. We got Krakoa, Hell's Haven, it's going to be Burning T'Challa, and Royal Palace as our 4 potential domination maps. We are going to head over to Hell's Heaven, though. That will be our first map. So let's jump right in and see what's going on. I believe the Dino's still yet to be available for use, but players like to hover the Dino just for funsies, just to get things going out on the right foot. Gonna be that Spider-Man ban already. And if you were interested in maybe one of those web slingers, well, too bad. It's probably not going to happen, at least for the Spider-Man in this map. Of course, we could get that Venom coming through, but that may be a little less common compared to the Spider-Man, as we have seen players know and love in the TEC and the PIEA. But there you go, Magneto ban on out, Black Widow save, so getting quite frisky. I mean, obviously, the Magneto ban is certainly viable, but we typically don't see it because there are ways to kind of address and counter the Magneto. Although if you're saying, okay, maybe we don't want to address this particular tempo, we want to change things up, then fair enough. That does kind of highlight what exactly the game plan is going to be for CB South. But Forest Hills, they'll save the White Fox, they'll then ban the Gambit. That one makes sense. You want to just make sure that if you're not playing a specific archetype of backline, that you kind of get that removed, and then make sure you have a resource to kind of replace with it. Moon Knight ban, definitely a bit of a target. I mean, you see Not Tryhard here, at least from our Omniscient POV, hovering the Moon Knight, but it is just one of those characters that you see players pick up in times of need when they feel they need to be the hero, when the team needs something to change. It usually is over to that Moon Knight, but saves coming out on the Mantis and the Elsa Bloodstone. Mantis we haven't quite seen a whole lot of. It is one of those characters that was a lot more prominent in Season 0, but you kind of move in now and still is a really good functioning piece to the puzzle if you don't have that Gambit available. Elsa Bloodstone, I mean, it speaks for itself. It is an alternative to Phoenix, though. So the fact that the Phoenix is banned, the Elsa Bloodstone in, means that if you're seeing a hit scan, it's probably going to be either that Elsa or the Hela. Goes to show you exactly what these teams are eyeing up. And in the end, of course, the group ban comes through. Maybe a comfortability pick on the other side. So just making sure they don't have all of their pieces and can at least be forced into some sort of problem that they need to solve right into this hero select. You can see already in the hovers, though. I mean, it's a bit of an interesting comp. You got Mantis, Jeff, Black Widow, the solo Venom with, just Dive is only on the Venom and the Venom shoulders there, so a bit interesting to focus in on there. That's going to be a Duelist Deadpool and a Strange. So you know, a lot of characters that individually we go, okay, you know, we can make things work. Of course, now we swap it up as soon as I say that. Let's look at Forest Hills, though. I mean, Vanguard pool, you have the Jeff, the Luna Snow, White Fox, so triple strategist. Bit interesting, but honestly, I respect it, especially if you're going for the Jeff. Okay, well, they just keep swapping every time I try and talk about it. All right, never mind then. It is going to be that Hella in the end, though, even though the Elsa Bloodstone was saved. Neither team looking at that character just quite yet. Gonna find our way over to this point, and of course the initial engagement gonna be as important as always. It looks like CB South find their way onto that point a little bit quicker, so they'll be feeling pretty good not having to kind of break their way out of a choke. And that speed very important on this type of map, because you're gonna get that initial cap relatively quick and find your way through the thing. Very aggressive here, and will actually hold strong for a moment. Looks like Fireball Tub was a bit too lost and the sauce a bit far forward, and there is going to be the quick elimination onto them. Although CB South still holding strong with picks onto the thing and Phoenix on that White Fox. A key player I'm going to be looking for, probably One Hop Pancakes, as that Black Widow pick is still a bit of a question mark in my eyes into how much value it will find. Forest Hills, though, coming in as the underdog. We're looking at them to make that kind of aggressive first move, or kind of have some sort of display saying that they are very much in and capable of winning. That'll be the Hornet Proteus going in on the back line. Not going to find too much. There's a very nice snipe on a very toasty boy, though. Pancakes will fall down. And it'll be Jeff, the quickest, finding two. Takes themselves out in the process, of course, but the numbers should still be in their favor. Enough to hold strong to keep this point theirs. 52 HP. Toasty Boy will fall down. And in the end, it should be still that CB South point. The rest of this, just a bit of stagger, a bit of stall. And that will not help Forest Hills, because, of course, this is now 60% and counting. A CB South have gained for themselves. Oh, that's just okay. Not try hard falls down, courtesy of a few headshots. The team kind of focus firing, and that's what the CB South team can do best. This composition, right? You focus all that fire to one player, the chances of them living it out probably very slim, right? The Venom goes in for the dive, the Duelist pool as well, and then Mantis to top it off with that final blow, or maybe the damage boost, along with Strange to the front line, making sure no one else goes down. It's like clockwork. As well, it should be. But now, final fight territory, looking for one of these teams to make a step forward. Okay, well, we've used a Vang Pool ult, we've used a Luna Snow ult, and nobody touched the point. So you could argue that all of those ults were wasted, but I guess for CB South, they deny the touch onto the point. So there you have it, folks. The first submap goes the way of CB South in dominant fashion. Of course, CB South will still have 3 ultimates online. It'll be about 3 for the Forest Hills side.
30 seconds before
The unique feature to Marvel Rivals, of course, that you can carry over those ultimates on a control or domination point into the next submap. Oh, I did not realize that was a Venom emote. Okay. Forest Hills, though, I mean, we're looking at them to, again, kind of find that breakthrough moment, right? Just
the battle starts in
looking for something to kind of hone in on and say, okay, this is value that we can find and be replicated throughout these maps. But for right now, just taking a chill pill, waiting for the right moment to strike. Well, they have those 2.5 ultimates. I guess this would be the best time to turn the tides right off the bat in submap 2. Again, CB South a little bit speedy towards this point. Will find themselves at a good spot. Of course, the Ultron in the mix, and, well, no longer in the mix, but the Eye of Agamotto finds itself the backline. It's Fireball Tub with a double. Of course, the melee available onto Strike Force. It'll be the primary fire instead, but the job done, of course. 3 eliminations. The 4th one to follow. This fight certainly one for CB South. That is, if they would cap the points. Little too kill happy right now. And eventually someone will realize, right? right? Surely. Okay, eventually. Thank you, Mantis. I think it was just one of those things where nobody wanted to. They're saying, you go do it, you go do it. Well, the Mantis player, the strategist MVP, if you will, always holding it down to the back line. Snap Thorn will fall, though. Early in this fight, Ultron ultimate, though, up in the sky. Potential for it to be game-changing, and at least finds at least the first. But now, of course, the White Fox in the mix is going to suppress all that fire. Absorb it with incoming heals. And that is matched out once more by the Mantis ultimate. Although a little bit quick in the time, does provide a lot of that over health. I believe that was a Deadpool ultimate as well by Flightless. Not seeing the immediate value from that one. The White Fox will go down, but there's Tryhard with the punishment onto Blaze, at least finding the one. But that'll be it. IHOP doing really good to find themselves the way through. The pick kind of the character that matters most in that moment. That target priority on points.
Keep going.
And speaking of on point, it is going to be CB South that maintain there. 60% and counting. Early fire in this neutral fight.
Enemies are here.
Still, of course, waiting for Forest Hills to make their mark on this map, on history. Needing at least the start of those first 3 maps to come through in order to propel themselves to those state championships. That'll be the Eternal Bond. CC Myers very aggressive with it, but of course maybe what they need. Oh my, wow. IHOP with a headshot up close and finishes off with a kick. Amazing to take down that big ultimate. The lot of trucks out as well. Toasty Boy will at least find the one, but the rest of the team nowhere in sight. I mean, this dude's taking a selfie on point while CB South win the round. Feels very close, but Strike Force, the Eye of Agamotto, last chance isn't going to do much. Instead, just the air taken out of their lungs. And in the end, it will be CB South 200% to 0. A bit of a stomp, if you ask me, but a statement made as well in this first map. Forest Hills definitely finding their way through and trying as best they can, but for right now, it has been a bit of a struggle. And they will need something to kind of turn themselves into a new version of their team as we continue throughout the series. Take a look at the scoreboard here. You got a very even spread for CB South, whereas Forest Hills, I mean, Toasty Boy had a lot of damage, had a decent amount of final hits, but it just did not stack up to the players you're seeing on the other side. I mean, 1, 2, 3 deaths at most for the players on CB South. And of course, I mean, we talk about these measurements, these stats, and how we've been kind of narrating the series right now, but it has been all CB South, and that's why it has been the way that it is currently going.
I think realistically, when we kind of look towards the overall accolades, especially that Central Bucks has put themselves in with multiple championships ever since Marvel Rivals joined the pool of games PIA offers. I mean, you really do expect this type of dominance, but Forest Hill is definitely not a team that will roll over. We're going to definitely expect them to be able to contest in a game 2, a game 3 is obviously a start that does, you know, look as one-sided as you are seeing. It does set a tone, but in a best of 5, it definitely can change around pretty easily.
Folks, that is Cherry J joining us on in. We'll have that up in a moment with the cameras and all that good stuff that you guys are used to. As for right then, I mean, Cherry, from the scoreboard that you've seen, you kind of mentioned it, and these bands, I think they definitely played a part, right? Forest Hills just did not have the utility necessary in order to get them across the line, and it just felt a little bit disjointed, right? That TDM style will favor the team that has definitely worked with these characters that they're on and have not found themselves to be banned out. I mean, you save the Black Widow, and it finds 6 final hits. I mean, almost tied for the most on the entire team. That is a statement in and of itself. The capability that this team has, not on just one character, but on multiple others as well.
Yeah, I think for sure, Black Widow, it's one of those pickups where, it has that potential, but overall, when we kind of look towards what we are going to be gathering, I'm not too familiar with what these two teams have traditionally run, but I do expect something a little bit more onto that conventional and possibly I can't wait to see what they are going to end up pulling out when we do get to game number 2, game number 3, all that good stuff.
I mean, we got that unique insight for the fraction of a second that we were in the lobby. And I mean, that goes to show you, right? One team made up of platinums, diamonds, the others, I believe it was silvers and golds. So it's not that we count one team out, but it is that they are having a tough road against them statistically, right? I mean, there are plenty of times where we will see in the PIA that teams with lower numbers can win it out in a 4v5, something like that. The lower competitive rank team will beat their opponents. I mean, the lower seeded team with big upsets. So you are just looking to find all of those various things to kind of work and propel you forward and kind of grasp on anything, right? This is your series to win, right? You have nothing to lose. So take that free roll and kind of control it as far as you can.
And I mean, I kind of wonder, right, when you think about the momentum here, this is going to be your qualification game for the LAN. I imagine that's going to have a lot of stress factors for these two teams, right, wanting to make that. And obviously with this being one of the biggest stepping stones for a series of that caliber when you're going up to the semifinals next week, there's going to be a lot of teams you're going to be playing up against. I believe Penn Manor's on the other side of this quarterfinals bracket, so you're taking them on next week or 2 weeks, one or the other. But overall, it is definitely going to be a situation where you got a lot of tough opponents ahead of you, but you definitely have to take this one game at a time. And so with the current state of things, it really could go either team's way, but whoever's the one to really start, kind of letting go of those nerves is probably going to be the ones we're going to think of as the favorites.
Yeah, I mean, to talk about that bracket, you have Wyoming Valley West and Penn Manor going on kind of in parallel to this game. The winner of that game would play the winner of this game. On the other half of this bracket, you have Gateway versus Kenny McMillan. You have McDowell versus Archbishop. And of course, you understand how the bracket works. The winners of the winners play the winners and yada, yada, yada. But in order to make it to land right, you got to get through this one opponent, and it is not easy at all. So put your best foot forward. Let's see what you got left in the tank. Is it enough to propel you there? Well, that's for the players to tell us, right, as we jump into our next few maps. Of course, we are just getting that next map selected, I believe, and then we will send it right into that second map. It is going to be Central Park, so there you have it, folks.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting pickup. It's been a while since I've been able to see it. It's not the most conventional map to go to as a map number 2, but if you're on the side of Forest Hills, you're certainly going to look to dictate the pace, and getting this map pick definitely does give you a chance to be able to do that. How that's going to look in terms of being able to really start just increasing the tempo, decreasing the tempo, whatever your personal preference does look like, we will have to, I guess, just go in and start to see what they do end up opting for. Blaze going to be hovering over the Loki, seem to have a bit of intent on that, but as we do start looking at what these picks, bans, all that good stuff will look like, is this similar to what we saw last game?
Yeah, it is. I mean, the Spider-Man instant ban came out from Forest Hills regardless. CB South, they banned that Moon Knight. I believe it was second. The Salsa Bloodstone save, the very same. And of course, that Moon Knight ban comes out a little bit earlier because you see Blaze on the Loki hovering it. I don't expect them to go for the save because, there is nothing really to kind of counter that Loki directly. So the Ultron save is actually something I do really, really like. I mean, there was a triple strategist hover from the CB South side earlier that I honestly enjoyed quite a lot. I mean, triple support, maybe this is because I am a strategist player myself, but it looks really strong in these sort of team dynamics that we've been seeing in the PIA.
Overall, it is just a situation where to look towards these kind of niche picks that these players have, picked up, all that good stuff. It does definitely help out on occasion when we do look towards the current bans, though. See what CB South does end up opting in for. The Venom, something that, you have a bit of self-sustain, especially with the extra bits of shield that you can gather, but it does seem like Central Buck South is going to take away any opportunity to gather that extra bit of tankiness.
Well, you got, I believe there's only 3 spiders in the game, right? All 3 spiders out on the side for Forest Hills, although 2 are banned, 1 is saved. But, I mean, you've got at least some of the elements that you're hoping for, but that Black Widow save comes through, which, again, is kind of crazy to me that they feel they need to save it, but I guess maybe Forest Hills would have exchanged the ban on it. The Mantis ban, that is a big adaptation from the previous map over to this one, because now that Black Widow isn't going to be doing near one-shot headshots, and the Invis Woman ban along with the Cloak and Dagger. I mean, those are 2 things we didn't see out earlier, so this is quite literally forcing the White Fox or Gambit or Ultron out. And for Phoenix, I mean, they didn't have the Gambit last time, so it's going to be a whole different set of circumstances. I mean, Strike Force is back on the Magneto, that's allowed. So these teams, I mean, this almost feels like a more raw form of what they actually are and tend to play. This feels like both teams have the necessary elements they planned for going into this map.
Yeah, and the Magneto, it's a pickup that really does give you the opportunity to kind of utilize that ultimate and force Central Buck South to start to disperse, not really get too grouped up. And if they can isolate a few picks with that, maybe it'll be able to start to pay out dividends on the other side of things, though. It is interesting. We are going to be getting the Quickster taking a little bit of a divert from what you traditionally see them on within both Marvel Rivals and Overwatch, with that tankier role. This time, opting for a bit more on the supporting end.
Do you see their comp? It's all supports.
That is very true. That is very true.
It was all supports. Black Cat was in the mix now, of course, and removed from the picture very, very quickly, but brought right back. There's a bit of a disrespect coming out here, and I'm curious if Forest Hills are going to be able to fend this off and, you know, force that kind of normal comp. I didn't think I'd have to say that, but there goes Javelin off the map. I mean, Phoenix doing a great job of finding that value early, and this is going to be a nice ult buffer for them to kind of work with. Of course, in the end, this damage has got to come from somewhere on CV South side, though, so I am kind of just playing the waiting game, I think the same as they are, hoping that something will go in their favor.
And they swap over to the Jev, which does have some ounces of damage, not the most impactful in terms of being able to, you know, open up, crack into a site, but it is still going to be Forest Hills, just a little bit better on the DPS. And it does seem like Central Buck South is going to really be into a little bit of a tight position. Not sure how long they're going to try and opt in to force this composition to, I guess, hold strong. But as of now, it is still unable to really just deal any damage.
I mean, you might feel that you have the upper hand against them, but I don't think that strength is going to be that vastly different that, you know, you can get away with those 6 strategists. Maybe I'm wrong, though, but Forest Hills, at least until this point, have proved me right for the moment. And that'll be the first few ultimates starting to get up on the board, right? With the Phoenix Raging Royal Flush, you've got the Penny, you've got the Fatal Both Worlds up almost for CC Myers, and the Meteor M for Strike Force.
As of now, though, Central Buck South going to start having some ultimates ensuing. And they're going to also swap off of that full support comp, with now Snapthorn taking their hands away from things. And with some early ultimates coming through, see what Flightless is going to be able to develop. And Central Buck South responding in their own right, but a low HP for IHOP and Cake's going to have to really take a bit of sustainability. And the Quickster with the opening pick. Central Buck South starts to really develop onto point.
Yeah, you needed at least that one Vanguard in the mix in order to find yourselves the value. That'll be the Fate of Both Worlds, but used on popped on out. I believe that is the Galactic Legend up in the sky as well, countered by the Meteor M and the Fate of Both Worlds. So a bit of a combo there in terms of that double value. There is going to be the Horn of Proteus launch on out. Not sure that found anything too much, but there is at least that Punisher in the mix now with their ultimate, hoping to find the best value that they can. Of course, that will be the Karmic Revival launch on through. So IHOP Pancakes off from the Black Widow onto the White Fox should at least be more in this fight. And Rez finding the value back again along with the Quickster. They're going to find the cap here, most likely, given that there is no extreme stagger play.
And getting the cap on 35 seconds. Forest Hills, they were able to hold off a more, I guess, silly approach, but when it comes to the main stake that they will be providing, Central Bucks South does not give them a single inch. As now Forest Hills trying to make an early engagement to the point. It is going to be Central Bucks South with a proactivity to start to fight first, and they're really baring their fangs as they just approach everyone so deadly.
I have never seen a fight happen in this particular corridor. I've just never seen it happen. I mean, a whole team fight on top of that. It's wild to see, but things are changing. I mean, maybe the plays are a little silly, but in the end, the goal is the same, right? To win, to capture the point, and then now escort this weird-looking squirrel thing all the way down.
Yeah, we're seeing Forest Hills trying to fight once more. It is going to be the majority of the team with Strike Force, so they're not too isolated just yet. However, the tremendous amount of damage being dealt, as well as the Eye of Agamotto with Snapthorn on the follow-up, it is just a little bit of a one-sided affair that will allow the CV South Titans to get this game straight back into their favor.
You know, there was a thing in map 1 where nobody wanted to capture the point. They almost held the game hostage, if you guys know what that means, and the kind of just leaving the cap until you decide to go for it. But it was a player in the end that kind of had to go all the way back. It was the Mantis. And so, again, CV South, maybe just getting a bit too eager to get into these fights. And of course, that has worked well for them so far, but it can be their downfall. So keep your eyes peeled in case that is a factor here. Of course, the next fight will be engaged here via the Deadpool ultimate. It'll be the Fate of Both Worlds as well on top of these things, but Blaze with the self-res kind of just negates any sort of value that they had in the first place. Of course, Fireball Tub will fall on down, changing the numbers a little bit more. And that'll be as well the Elsa Bloodstone ultimate launched on out. Not finding anything though for the moment. It is CC Myers that strikes though onto IHOP Pancakes, and this should be at least the fight fended off for the moment.
And there's a massive amount of resources invested, as you saw CC Myers as well as Flightless and Very Toasty all using ultimates. So Central Bucks South, now that they've been able to expend all of that for Forest Hills, they're likely going to look to try and play a very fast tempo just to clear off this point ASAP, as there is only 30 seconds. So a fight loss here definitely can start to spell destruction.
Oh my, massive. I mean, it wasn't even the one-shot combo, if you will, with the primary fire, melee, and then the E ability. Instead, just the Eye of Agamotto tags onto the whole team, and those shields drop, and the rest is history. CB South, of course, will come through this first segment, will find the cap before that timer reaches overtime, and now 1 minute 30 left on the clock available for this final segment. It's a quick swap off, though, for Snapthorn. Interesting. So right when I had the Galactic Legend.
I was gonna say, it's strange to make the swap as soon as you have the ultimate, especially to a character of this caliber. The Jeff, not somebody who really does find a whole ton of impact. Whoa. Maybe the idea is gonna be to try and send everyone off the map at some point. But an early fight win for the Titans, just going to allow them to send the Rangers home and packing once more. Hopefully, Forest Hills and this final few team fights will be able to invest these last few ultimates they're gonna have coming up, and ideally that'll be the case to just prolong this game for a while, send this one down to that final fight. And if the Forest Hills Rangers can hold them off completely, that definitely would be a great way to end the first half.
Nobody on the points. I mean, it's been a minute and change, and nobody has escorted this payload. So, in theory, there is still very much risk they do not find the full cap. In fact, it looks a bit scary right now. One player off the map, the other two completely split from each other. Jeff, of course, though, with the ultimate, oh boy, finds at least the two. At least should be a gap. No, gets taken down. Penny with the mind from inside somehow finds their way through. That'll be CB South, of course, with 3 ultimates. Forest Hills to match that 3 on the other side. Not Tryhard on the Squirrel Girl. Now, don't forget about that, but it's IHOP Pancakes to launch in the ult and get knocked right out of it. Very, very quick succession. Eye of Agamotto, though, and it's been good every single time. This will be no exception. One player off the map. The Quickster with another from their ultimates, and in the end, I mean, this should be maybe a gamble touch play for Forest Hills and about it.
This is definitely not the ideal position by any means for the side of for the Forest Hills Titans. They are going to look to get this final touch. Will be able to make that happen. However, when it is do or die, you look towards Forest Hills. They have the ultimates to back it up, especially the Meteor M should be able to make something happen, possibly. It will not, but so they are just going to be seeing a whole ton of damage being dealt. It's a lot of proactivity when it comes from the CB Titans taking the first 2 kills, and everyone falls apart. It's Forest Hills to go down 0-3 on the half. We'll see if CB Titans can follow up and take this one to match point, or will we be seeing this best-of-5 series start to go the distance?
Match team to win this one.
Yeah, Forest Hills, I mean, again, they had some flashes of brilliance, right? They had team fights that they won, but it was either, let's say, CB South being a little silly with that initial comp, or the ult dump in the end. And Forest Hills, I mean, they seemed to have the upper hand when it was the ult exchange. It was a 2-for-2, 3-for-3. They were usually good and found the value, but in the end, I mean, you saw them use Meteor M, Fate of Both Worlds, and the Penny ult as well, and you just, unfortunately, don't find enough value. Not enough firepower in those moments. And so even though we know they're capable, they need to make it a little bit more consistent. Obviously, that's easier said than done, but for what we're kind of hoping from them to match up to the competition on the other side, I mean, that's what's asked of them. And whether they rise to that challenge or fall a little bit flat is for them to kind of put forth the effort, and we'll see how it goes.
A very similar composition on the Titans side of things from what they were running towards the end of the last game. We definitely are going to be assuming that they aren't going to do anything crazy last minute, like what we saw in the first half. Or was that massive?
It's fine.
I mean, it was fine, but it wasn't, you know, the ideal play.
No, I'm saying right now they have 5 supports.
I mean, yeah, but you at least have the Quickster still taking over that, you know, more towards the tankier roles where you got a little bit more HP to work with, you know, somebody to actually invest that supporting in, right? When you're looking at the 6 supporting characters, yes, you have a decent bit of sustain for each other, but when, you know, the entirety of Forest Hills focuses one player, despite having that significant amount of healing potency, you're not really going to be able to do a whole lot when that player is dead. Now, however, the Quickster can be the main kind of keystone for the team to play behind and try to hold strong.
Yeah, just be careful you don't apply that anti-heal effect to yourself. I'm looking at you, Strange, because if that charge does go to 100 and you do not find yourself in the midst of the enemy team, that could be a problem. Of course, though, that will be the quick elimination onto Phoenix. Make that another onto CC Myers. As for the rest of Forest Hills, they will follow suit. And I got worried for a second because I thought maybe if you gave up that initial choke, CB South would kind of have to scramble, of course, only being those strategists. But it looks like in the end, Forest Hills still find themselves on the back end of things with CB South holding strong.
At Forest Hills at this point, few ultimates starting to be picking up as you got Phoenix with this Jeff ult. I mean, there's not a whole lot of land to try and get these players off of if you do want to try and send them Alpha Cliff, but you'd have to go a decent bit distance, and a 1-for-1 already coming out, but with very toasty boys securing the second. It will be Forest Hills up in the man advantage. Let's see if they can capitalize on that.
Rocket as well, kind of the key factor that keeps this comp alive, right? With that quick res, now not going to be able to have it. Of course, might be able to chuck it on a back wall, but this Forest Hills team should be engaging a lot quicker. Of course, they were waiting for these ults to farm up, and so it will come through in the end. The Raging Royal Flush should get the job done compositionally, and it will take down Blaze. Of course, that has a self-res, so maybe don't worry too much, but now there is going to be the It's Jeff Nom 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 ultimate in the mix. That'll be 2 enemies found there. Of course, 1 ally. Oh, and it's both out. Snapthorn finds 2. Phoenix with another 2. This is very, very even, but the Karmic Revival will change things as there's a quick 3 reses online. Ain't no way you're bouncing back in this one if you're Forest Hills.
Yeah, Forest Hills down to a minute remaining on the clock, and it certainly seems like Central Bucks South is going to be very much on the front foot. They are looking to invest all of this current momentum and snowball it into the Forest Hills spawn room, as you have a significant amount of players starting to push up. The Quicksters trying to set up for an Ivegamoto as well. See if they're going to be able to make a big investment. Will look to lock up a significant amount of the players, though, and that does put them in a really, really tragic spot, to say the least.
I mean, they got the entire team. It's a team wipe. 45 seconds, maybe you could go for a strange TP. You have enough time to at least book it back from spawn, but certainly not going to be easy, especially with that CYA in the mix. I mean, you're looking at, yeah, that pulse, exactly what I was going to say, but not exactly a full group up, a bit early, honestly, in my opinion, because no additional pressures there. Players can kind of just run away.
And an early kill on Phoenix will be looking good, but on the other side of things, Forest Hills responds with one of their own. Central Bucks South, though, still looking to deal this bit of damage. Snapthorn being the frontal prong for his team to play behind, and unfortunately, it is still going to be CB South to take another win by the looks of it, with a Quickster putting up another kill straight out the back. Flightless going to respond, but Blaze not going to be the only one who falls, as it is Phoenix on the other side of things to drop down. A few ultimates from the CB South Titans, as we will be seeing IHOP and Cakes as well as Javen both going for their own, and seems Ari like this is going to be match point for the Titans.
Final score, 0
Yeah, there was
to
maybe a
3.
tick in the mix, but even if you get that, of course, the timer's still going to expire. And so there you have it, up 2 maps to 0, just one away from not only propelling themselves to land, but making that top 4. I mean, feeling good. It is just, it's amazing how many things this team can get away with, both drawn up and on the fly. And it goes to show you, they are not just a good team, they're a great team. I mean, 40,000 damage blocked for 2 of the Vanguard, Strike Force, and the Quickster. I mean, healing all around because of that various strategist comp. That is just an image in and of itself, right? The 1 Vanguard, 5 strategists. I mean, gotta give them props, they were able to execute. But on the other side, right, Forest Hills, I mean, they're still trying. They had 3 Vanguards, 3 strategists. In the end, it seemed pretty close towards those final fights, but just tough to get over that final line.
I do just want to bring this up just for the comedic part of it. The Jeff has the most kills on the side of Central Bucks South.
On the side of Central Bucks South. Well, the number, yes, but final blows, maybe not.
Obviously, you know, you consider the... yeah, but, I mean, still, having your, I guess, support in any lobby having the most kills. Obviously, there was 5 of them, but it is still pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it's a showing, to say the least, right? This is not a show match. This is one of those games to qualify for land, so teams are trying their best. But as well, I mean, Forest Hills are being sent a message, as are the rest of the league by CB South, right? They're saying, hey, don't mess with us. If you think you can come close to us, look what we could do with this comp or this comp. So try and ban somebody that you think we play. We'll find a way around it, which is honestly a good message to send, because then when you do lean on those specific characters in times maybe that you do find yourselves needing them, the Moon Knight's available, the Gambit's available, I mean, the Rocket, White Fox, you can find those pieces to the puzzle and you will succeed. So, I mean, props to both teams, but this series is not over yet.
Obviously, there's still a decent bit of time left back in the series to try and find your footing for Forest Hills. I think that, you know, you really do have to find some kind of exploitation. Maybe if you have a substitution you can pull, it is the time to do it. As it definitely is a situation where the Central Bucks Titans are looking so extraordinary. And I'm really not going to be seeing them, you know, taking their feet off of the brake at all. Put their foot on the brake at all, because this is a team that has been constantly playing with high tempo all season long. We've seen them winning so many trophies like that, and overall, definitely not going to be a situation where we are too expecting any differences. There's not a whole lot of teams in this league that can really keep up with the same level of pressure that CB South does apply.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it comes down to, right, in the end, what is that finishing capability of CB South, right? Maybe it's a little bit lackluster. I mean, we could also be just looking at this game as, okay, which various characters do they throw into the mix and hope to try and, work with this comp, things like that. But, I mean, we should be headed to Convergence or not Convergence, Convoy, if my sources are correct, right? We've played Convergence, we played Domination, so we should have just that Convoy left. I mean, that is a mode where there's not a huge margin of error or margin for error, considering that, one fight could cost you a checkpoint. That's more time added to the clock. And, teams, if you're being super dominant like CB South, want to kind of keep it to as quick as possible, go for a full cap yourself, and then, kind of send a message in the end. But it is going to be Yggdrasil path, kind of that season 0 default that you've just known to grow and love. And here it is in the flesh.
Yeah, I think when we come onto a map like this is definitely going to be the one where Forest Hills has the most pressure on them. So you really can't lose your mentals just yet. I mean, after this, maybe, who knows? But overall, you really do have to see this one out from start to finish to try and get a game number 3 to go your way. Maybe set into a reverse sweep, but obviously, Ari, you lose all of the battles you don't try in.
Yeah. I mean, you got to put at least one foot in front of the other to get yourselves going in here, right? You can't just sit in spawn room and expect to win the round. There is going to be some trials, some tribulations, but you will prevail if you put in the effort. May not even be here in this moment, but you can certainly find that progress to get you across that finish line, say in a rematch, something like that. Of course, that is, I don't want to say assuming that they would lose this, but, in that world, of course, where maybe they fall a bit short now and then have to come back for revenge, that is also very still doable. So keep your eyes peeled. I think we're going to see a lot more solo play coming through, right? Generically, it was that team play for the most part from CB South, but I'm looking for Forest Hills individually to now kind of step up, be the hero for their team, and get them these fight wins one at a time.
Yeah, obviously, when you kind of think about Scholastic Esports in general, it has usually been a very top-heavy, turn of affairs where you're getting one player who might be at that kind of highest rank, that ceiling, and then maybe a few others who are towards that middle of the pack. But overall, Forest Hills, we haven't really seen anybody who's been able to display that same level of dominance that you kind of look for. And so if they can start to respond to the Central Bucks South's current play and make something to really just, deal with everything that they've been pressing against them, then I don't know. But as of now, they're putting out a good start, right? We see the Doctor Strange ban already. And so that does at least get rid of the Quickster's formidable pick, to say the least, something that had constantly been forcing Forest Hills to reevaluate their options.
I mean, obviously, the saves are characters that they would like to play that have been banned previously by CB South, but I'm thinking, what are CB South doing in this ban stage? Is it taking it a bit seriously? Is it not? I mean, the penny ban goes through, so fair enough. I mean, obviously paranoid more about those tank lines than it is the duelists on the other side. They want to allow themselves to go for a bit of hard dive, as you can see from not only the saves, but the hovers as well, onto the Spider-Man, onto the Black Panther. And in the end, Forest Hills, they're going to have a struggle trying to deal with it, right? It is the Namor that's out. It is those frontliners that are gone in a way. So in the end, I mean, this is what Magneto and who else as your second tank? Because look at the bans that are out there. I mean, is there even a Vanguard that's going to follow it up? Oh, I guess Emma Frost. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, and besides that, it is going to be a lot more on the offensive. I mean, Blaze still kind of deliberating their options and going to end up taking that Black Panther in the end. So, Central Bucks South, it's a very different turn of events from what we saw in last game, where they were extremely on the support-heavy side of things. This time around, gonna be kind of just going for the opposite approach. And Forest Hills, they take a very similar idea to what they took last game, right? We still see the Magneto up, something that we didn't see a whole ton from. I do expect to get a little bit more value out of the pick this time around, but if that does end up happening, I will definitely be pleased.
I'm just looking at the one strategist on the side of CB South, and it's the Luna Snow. And I feel like as a solo strategist, I don't know how much or how well that's gonna work. Like, I see the vision, like it makes sense, but in actuality, right, is that going to spell out a bit of successes for them? Of course, they are on the attacking side, so this just changed things, right? If they were on the defense, I mean, that sustain would probably not be enough, but they're basically looking to just send it, kind of go for a one-for-one play and hope that it works out in their favor.
I think it is feasible, especially when you have Snapthorn playing the Spider-Man, looking to just switch the direction crosshairs are placing, and Central Buck South right now just getting this isolation down. Strike Force already put offline, and Javelin takes so much of an offensive pressure. They're going to really just deal so much damage, and it doesn't seem like Forest Hills has found that response yet. It's a necessary change up from them, but unfortunately they just have not been able to get anything done comparatively to CB South, who has just been constantly going dive after dive.
It's just mean. I mean, you got a Rogue and an Iron Fist in the backline. What are you gonna do? Like, how do you address that if you're a squishy player? So Forest Hills, I mean, I think there's potential for them to jump back onto this 3-3 comp. I think as well, you're going to see them start to group up a little more. At least they should probably bulk up into that death ball. Sure, they will allow for that Black Panther to feast a little bit more, maybe the Psylocke, but in the end, it should help you in your ability to kind of look at one direction as a team and strike back.
Yeah, against the amount of just assassination type characters that Central Bucks has, being Javelin, who's gonna love to go in for 1v1s, as well as shredding tanks. I mean, it's a bit of just like a, it's a two-sided spear where whatever way you're gonna try and play the game, Central Bucks South has a way to respond, but overall, the current state of things isn't bad for Forest Hills. I mean, obviously 2 people are already down for the count, but they have, at least for the time being, been able to weather the storm.
I think that key player is going to be One Hop Pancakes, because like you saw in that moment where they were on a sliver of HP, I mean, they were forced all the way back because there is no team playing with them, right? So if there is a counter dive back, it's going to be a tough way to break through. Of course, that's when you might see that Fit of Both Worlds activated. And again, we're seeing... I thought it was a misclick. Nope, it is very much not a misclick. It was just in the backlines. We didn't see the start of it, but we're certainly seeing the end of it. The end statement made by this team. And again, still nobody pushing the cart.
Let's go.
And now we will be seeing Snapthorn being the sole proprietor of this cart. And with them now just... taking it for themselves on the other side of things. We are just going to be seeing Forest Hills stuck inside of spawn. There's a little bit of a flank avenue. Fireball Tub going to back off. Blaze, the first one down in this engagement. However, an early response. The Quickster looking to try and put up numbers. Unfortunately, nobody gets to a critical HP line just yet.
I mean, technically, CB South have lost this fight, but I think even still, like, point has been captured, the job has been done, the pressure applied, and so regardless of this fight result, still CB South going to be happy for it. Of course, it looks like they have not given up yet. In fact, they're actually winning it all out. It's Blaze with a 3-piece. Make that 4 in the end. I mean, magical stuff from them and the rest of the team, of course, but they have just found value every which way.
Yeah, the overall pressure this team just is able to apply. It has looked good, of course, and now with a multitude of ults coming up from both sides, we'll see if Forest Hills will be able to leverage this ultimate advantage to possibly find an early kill or two. Already, though, it is going to be Central Bucks South who will be the more proactive team, taking ultimates earlier, not letting the race go for even a moment. The Phoenix on the other side of things, though, will put Central Bucks South in a little bit of a difficult spot, but I mean, you're still going to be playing a 4v6, not the end of the world. 3 ults available, Forest Hills. Let's see if they can win this fight.
I mean, it's so funny that it gets value, but it's because, I mean, there's 4 players, 5 players on the other side that are all melee characters. They can't do anything about players in the sky, and so that was a nice kind of realization for Phoenix, but at the same time, you almost wish there were more flyers now in the mix. Of course, very toasty, by the way. On this Moon Knight, you should be able to absorb a dive with the rest of the team, kind of just chuck it onk when that dive comes through at the feet of their team, and it should kind of suck them in, make sure that they can take down that player who's maybe trying to get a bit too much value, but it's one hop pancakes again, finding the fragging power along with that support power. And now, of course, that means a bit of a struggle here for Forest Hills, but Moon Knight shows in the hand of Khonshu, and Snapthorn, bit of a clanky getaway, but makes it in the end, and the rest of the team still to follow up for the moment.
And we're really seeing the lack of healing being a little bit more highlighted from the Central Bucks side of things. They're really reliant on these heal packs at this point, and unfortunate enough, Forest Hill is not going to really capitalize too much on this. They are going to take another team fight, though, and maybe at a certain point we will be seeing Central Bucks South possibly forced to maybe reconsider their composition before they do end up heading that way.
I don't think it's going to be yet, though. I mean, especially with these ults available. It's going to find 2, make that 3. I mean, this fight's just over. It was the art of surprise. Sure, you've got a Deadpool ultimate, but that one will be sent right back to the spawn. I mean, this is a quick push up to Fear, but not enough players on the card. So you thought maybe there was a free count there. Instead, it will be just kind of holding on, pressuring the spawn, making sure this fight comes through. And this is the slowest of slow burns we've ever seen in a cart push, but it does make its way forward. The players out of a spawn, Meteor M up in the air. Could find at least one, and it's not, unfortunately. It goes a bit awry, and the players remaining, the Living She, should be good to go to send these players not only back to spawn, but into the next half, hoping to find some sort of value that they have not yet seen.
And it's a good half for the Titans once more. Minute 28, not the most dominant we could have seen it, but it definitely is still a hard hurdle to get over. So we'll see what that is going to look like from Forest Hills, if they are going to be able to achieve it. Obviously on series point, this cannot be the easiest pill to swallow, so see what that does end up looking like.
Again, I was talking about how that composition was going to be really good on attack, but on defense, I think it's going to struggle a lot more. Obviously, you will have those players kind of diving in from off angles, but then what is the resistance? The cart is still going to push until you have that tank. And of course, yeah, I mean, Rogue was there. Now it looks like... Okay, yeah, I was going to say, Quickster, you better get on that, Rogue. And even though the player's still there, right, no shield in the mix, makes it a little tougher. Honestly, Cap... As much as I would say, 1-to-1, I'd probably prefer the Rogue, but in this case, with how CB South are playing this, honestly, I'm down for the Cap.
Yeah, I mean, definitely gonna look to get a little bit more healthiness involved on the CB Titans side of things. Not the ideal comp in terms of sustainability, but if you can really just I guess give IHOP and Cakes the ability to go unpunished for any positioning, then maybe Forest Hills won't be able to get invested onto just being able to deal a lot of poke damage to somebody like the Quickster who's just sticking on the point.
I mean, this almost looks like a bit of a stall game. It looks like they're just trying to burn out as much time as they can in this first fight, but no, it is that disengage. So it is 2 quick picks for Forest Hills, and those will not be matched up. I thought maybe that would be the indication that they should probably change their ways, but no. Instead, we'll see this one out a little bit longer. Snapthorn will fall. I mean, Toasty Boy's been lighting up the kill feed. Don't get me wrong. Like, the shots have been crispy clean, but CB South still maybe not respecting it as much as they should just quite yet.
And Forest Hills still looking to win out, and of course, this is probably one of the best opportunities they've had in a while now. But as we will be starting to see the Quickster as well as Javelin both at low HP lines, they're going to be attempting to get back into some sort of high HP. But on the last fight territory on this point, we are just going to be getting a few touches come through, as it is already the Javelin down. Blaze for the trade up. It is still going to be the Captain America looking to isolate very Toasty Boy, and it is the Quickster who will have an easy time doing it.
That's now 2 strategists out, but still the 4 well, now 3 duelists because of that math and how that's numbering. But the Quickster still sticking with it, actually being quite aggressive for somebody that doesn't really have too much follow-up behind them. But there's the rest of the team. You start to see those players go in the mix, and now that becomes where the bloodbath will start. It's Phoenix that falls down first. The BRB will bring them right back, but to the rest of their team's demise, of course, now still just pressuring through. Toasty Boy falls, and there is that dominance that we have expected to see. That's a very aggressive ult with no team left.
Yeah, an interesting investment to say the least. It is going to be able to pick off Snapthorn and starting to look to engage with the rest of the team following up. As of now, though, not a whole lot to come off. Frozen in place. The Quickster unable to support the rest of the team, but an early ultimate investment, diving strike into the back lines, going to look to harass well, and they are going to do exactly that as a whole lot of this HP does start to drop. Unfortunately, no kills to be committed by the Quickster, but on the other flip side of things, Forest Hills getting decimated by the rest of the Titans.
Yeah, forced out so many cooldowns and ultimates and eyesights that the rest of the team, it just fully murdered whatever was left. So honestly, as much as the play doesn't seem to have a lot of value, like in terms of numeric wise, it was still plenty quality wise for the team to do their work. This will be a Fatal Both Worlds to engage, and now a bit of a dance-off in the center here, strangling Prison right into that Fatal Both Worlds, so that available value is still going to be reduced, the Invisible Barrier, just for good measure, to make sure that these players are holding on for dear life, making sure they're staying strong, and of course can retreat back to it as needed. That wall actually allows for Quickster to jump right over it and into safety, but Snapthorn goes down, so just to one hot Pancakes, hoping for the best to keep their team up. But where's the dives that we're expecting? We hear the fists, we hear the dashes, but no value quite yet.
As now Forest Hills on to final fight territory of this game. They lose here. It is going to be a 3-0. Blaze with an opening pick. Fireball down. Unfortunately, though, Blaze just on a massacre with a double kill.
We can't get out of here. Okay.
Well,
there we go.
Oh, the Quickster finally will get out of that little imprisonment, and it is the Forest Hills Rangers who will have to bow out in this quarterfinals as we look towards Central Buck South to be going up into the semifinals later on. Honestly, Ari, that was a very good game, very dominant game from them, and we'll see who wins Wyoming Valley West versus Penn Manor on the other side of the bracket to face off against them at Mount Aloysius. But definitely, whoever does face off against them is going to have a scary, scary matchup ahead of them.
Absolutely. I mean, for this CB South, they kind of just have to enjoy it, right? You tried a few fun strategies. I think you have fun, but make sure that you are aware that this is not going to be every game. Maybe you got lucky on the day, maybe Forest Hills were just struggling a bit, maybe you're just their kryptonite, but you have to go into that next match saying, okay, we have to pretend like we're going up against the second best, and we say the second best because of course you have to have confidence that you can beat your opponents. So for CB South, I just hope this doesn't let them get a bit too overconfident, and hopefully they can come back even stronger. If it is something similar where they have the upper hand again, well, I guess we'll have a little bit more entertainment then, won't we? But for right now, that's kind of the stakes that have been set. For Forest Hills, right, obviously, you come through as the 9 seed. You were the lowest remaining seed out of the first round, so you had the unfortunate meeting of CB South here in this round. But you got to be happy, right? I mean, you're still finding yourself in top 8. You made it through one round of the playoffs. I think you got to give yourself props.
Yeah, overall, it is going to be a very, very good game, and we are going to be jumping into our second series that is already started, but I mean, we're kind of talking about, getting to see this Penn Manor, Wyoming Valley West teams, what their score would look like later, but we are actually going to be able to see that now as we're going to be heading